Nickelodeon has had some pretty fantastic series in its history, and while its current slate of Nicktoons is impressive and growing, bringing a few back into a new form could help the channel and give a lot to a modern generation. Here are a few Nicktoons that deserve to be rebooted. From the creator of Fairly OddParents comes a substantially shorter-lived cartoon, Danny Phantom, which premiered on April 3, 2004, but was ended a mere 3 years later, in 2007. This Nicktoon followed Danny Fenton, a high school boy who accidentally gets phantom powers in a household that hunts the paranormal and is learning of his newfound powers. Danny Phantom is regarded as one of Nickelodeon's best animated series to date, and whether it was the battles in the Ghost Zone, interesting characters, sometimes witty, sometimes slapstick humor, or the character development and build-up of Danny, his friends, his enemies, and the world around them, there was a lot to enjoy about this mid-2000s cartoon. The big three are missing fun action animation, and rebooting the series would not only fill the action segment, but surrounding subgenres as well. Not only has Danny Phantom not aired a new episode in nearly a decade, but the cartoon's massive following continually requests for a return. This cartoon in particular could go multiple directions, completely rebooting and following Danny Phantom again, following a new character from the universe, or my favorite of the options, setting up a completely new character who also gets ghost powers through other means. While I currently wish for Fairly OddParents to all but survive in its current form, I have a sweet spot for the series that has been in Nick's programming for over a decade. Rather adding a new character and completely destroying the continuity of this iconic cartoon, as they've already done, Butch Hartman and his team need to completely reboot the OddParents, and for good reason. Timmy Turner, Cosmo, and Wanda have been some of the most comedic, lesson-learning, entertaining, and oddball characters to grace Nickelodeon. Through moments like the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour and Channel Chasers, viewers really got to see what made these characters so likable and how substantially more fleshed out they are than other cartoons. Completely rebooting this series wouldn't be difficult either, as through the years we've seen millions of kids with their own Fairly OddParent or parents. It could be anyone new, and closing the book on Timmy Turner and rebooting a new set of fairies for a completely new human character may electrify a series that's been limping along since the start of the decade, while capturing a new audience and returning the brand to its magical status as a solid Nicktoon. Few cartoons have left such an inventive and inspirational mark as Chalk Zone, the early to mid-2000s Nicktoon that focused on the adventures and circumstances of Rudy to Booty, a 10-year-old boy with a massive imagination and magical chalk. The series is more than unique in its quirky lessons of being yourself in a world that dashes away creativity, and every episode of its multi-year run put Rudy into situations that viewers like myself would have never expected. Chalk Zone also featured the channel's largest premiere ratings for a first episode. It's not the series' short life that makes it deserve a reboot, but the inventive adventures and inspiring messages Chalk Zone was all about for audiences, and a new generation could find a sense of belonging with a modern interpretation of this Nicktoon. No cartoon is arguably more synonymous with the high times of Nickelodeon than Rugrats, the decade-long series that ruled the 90s before ending in the mid-2000s. Play the theme song that opens the Nicktoon, and a generation will fall into guaranteed nostalgia, as Rugrats' younger characters capture the spirit of adventure in toddlers and children while bringing comedy and many other elements into the mix for older audiences to find enjoyment. Spanning a massive 13 years on television and a successful theatrical trilogy, Rugrats followed Adventures of Tommy and the many other babies in their bright and immense imaginations. A rebooted Rugrats featuring a new family would have a completely different feeling than the original, as they're in a much more technology-bent world. Of course, these are just toddlers, but as well as toddlers are, having new adventures in the minds of such young children could push out a new generation of imagination. When the world learned Aang was the Last Airbender in 2005, audiences who would continue tuning into the series would find character development, action scenes, slight whiffs of comedy, and a deep love for characters and story that Aang, Sokka, Katara, and Toph became centerpieces of. In Korra's story, delve into a universe into deeper meaning and further push boundaries unseen on Nickelodeon. Going back into this vast universe should be Paramount, Paramount, like the company that Nick works for the movie. Anyway, the Last Airbender universe, the Avatar series is so massive that returning to it would be fantastic, but they're diving in to Zuko's story or just releasing a miniseries about a particular character in a certain tribe. Going back to the days where the Fire Nation began to take control, the world is so vast and the series of such high claim should definitely be returned to. So guys, what Nicktoons should Nick revive? Tell me in the comments, and thanks for watching. I'm Brian Swan, and stay tuned for